Hey, this is Squeeze, Marcus, whatever the fuck you want to call me. This is a retrospective on Ignite. Ignite's the eighth track on the album, and this is one that I think I had the most fun making, just because it was me having fun with sound designy drop type shit and making a fight song. Originally, I was gonna have Michelle record vocals for it, but then I was like, just do my own. And I think it came out great. I was gonna do a retrospective on Medusa, but that just turned into about 20 to 30 minutes of me shitting all over it, and so I was like, I'll just do this because this is fun and I enjoy it. So I'm gonna sort of change up the way I do things and just kind of talk about a couple of key points here, because a lot of it is just mixing, but I want to get into the stuff that isn't just going to be the same EQ compressor type shit. And one of those things is this lead part here. So I have this patch in Serum that I made. If I turn off, it's not really that complicated. It's a couple of super saws, which are just saw waves with a bunch of unison on them. Going into a low pass filter that's key tracking, so the filter just cuts out a lot of the harshness on the high end. And then it's a couple of very basic Serum effects going through. Distortion with Sign Shaper. A little OTT here. Some Dimension. And it's a pretty simple patch, but the real meat of it comes in this effect track, which is a frequency separator that I made. Shout out to Jason Petrin for the idea to do this, but it's basically you have multiband dynamics on 3 different effect tracks, and each one of them solos out the lows, the mids, and the highs, and you have this macro set to each of the parameters of where they define low, mid, high, and then you can just move where that cutoff is, and then each of the effects that come after them will affect that specific frequency band individually. So it allowed me to do some fun things with the auto pan, where I have it set here on the lows to a 16th note, and then in the mids it's 32nd note, and the highs it's a 48th note, which doesn't really make a lot of sense, but that's what it is. 48th note. Whatever. Anyway. So if I listen to just the lows, you're really just hearing the impact and a little bit of the fundamental up here. And you can hear it here as well. So all it really is doing is a little bit of flange, a little bit of distortion, and then that auto pan effect to give it a tremolo. Then we have in the mids, if I go to that, we've added a delay, 50% dry wet, so, and this is affecting between 205 and 2.5 hertz, or 2.5 kilohertz, as you can see here. We got a little reverb going on, some distortion here, and then this delay, which doesn't really produce much. But then we have, oh, that's because I'm still soloing the lows. There you go. That's better. was wondering. Oh, that's why I did. Okay. Ignore that. This is what the mids sound like. And then you have the highs, which just more of the same, more intensely, and with a little chorus and some OTT, because why not? On its own is pretty annoying, but together it's pretty cool. I then have it running through just a little mixing thing, EQ here, and this thing called G-clip. So it just adds an element of that clipping noise. Get it nice and loud. I also have it set here to a gate, which is side-chained to the bass that I have going on here. So every time in the first half, we have the bass playing. The lead will also play. It doesn't play without it. Then it turns off for the second half. Makes it really nice and percussive, and it cleans up the reverb so that it can be a lot more staccato. And then all the little ear candy can fill in the little gaps. Speaking of ear candy, let's talk about that. Got a bunch of stuff going on down here. What I do a lot is I will have what they're called design buckets, which I call them, where it's basically I have a concept for making cool sounds, and I just have an Ableton session set up where I just have that specific thing going. And for this, it was I did a very short burst of white noise with some delay, and I had a bunch of random LFOs on delay parameters. And that gives us these really cool noises. You know? Then we have... That's just the same thing, but more aggressively. I don't remember what this was. Oh no, this was a freeze of this thing. And this thing is a serum patch. Let's see what I did in here. Oh yeah. It's some sine waves going into a comb filter. One is an octave up, one is 2 octaves down. Weird noises come out of comb filters. And I figured I could just use those, which I did. This is a little snippet that just makes like a snap kind of noise. What do we got over here? This thing. Little rise and hit. Very simple arpeggio. What else? In the second half, we have some different ear candy. It's different sections of the glitching. That's a cool thing. What is this? Same. This is the same. This is different. I kept this the same because I wanted to have it as the kind of glue tied first and second drops. And then what the fuck? This was the really weird noise that had a lot of little weird frequencies. Where did I put the I just turned it off accidentally. Let me turn it back on. Okay, I don't have the original sample somehow. Go. Okay, done. Now I can hear it. Good. Okay, these noises were made using a vocal from another song I was doing. I think this was the remix of Bad Habits. And I had a shitload of OTTs, like 20 or 30, and a shitload of dimension expanders on it with a reverb in the beginning. And what that does is it brings out all the errors and glitches at the very, very quiet part of the reverb that you can't normally hear. And you get some cool sounds out of that. A little pitch shifting for motion. That's basically all that there is to the drop. And then there's this chord thing, which is very nice. But yeah, that's basically everything. There's this bass, which is a subby thing I made with a lot of distortion, high pass filter. Oh. And then some G clip. Really sick bass, actually. I really like it. For the vocals, basic mixing. I had this one has manipulator. And what manipulator does is it lets you take what you've recorded, in this case a vocal, and map it to a vocoder type thing that will vocode it to itself, using a MIDI data that you input in a different track. So I've got some MIDI data here. One of these impacts this.
No, I can't afford to lose. I can't afford to cry. I cannot lay here paralyzed with doubt, no why. I find the strength to move. I find the strength to fight.
And then, yes, this is the MIDI data for that. And this is... all it's really doing is following this lead, right?
Move, I find the move, I find the strength to fight.
Where did I... oh, right, it's down here. Cool. It's just following the same thing that this synth and this synth are doing. Right? So I have another one following that up here.
No one left to take your blows.
And you're just using that as a layer over the actual things.
No one left to take your blows.
And from there, I think that's basically everything. There's just this little piano part at the end we can go over, and then that'll be that. Which, what it is I went to a website and calculated what tempo I'd have to set this to if I wanted to change it by, I don't remember how much I pitch shifted, but I basically moved this up, this piano part. I shifted it up maybe 11 semitones or something, right? So it's got all this like fuzz and echo and whatever. Very bright. But I shifted it up to where it would be really high up. And then I used a website to calculate how far I'd have to like pitch shift things. Like what tempo I'd have to set this to in order for me to pitch shift it down, and it would be in time and on key back in the normal. So doing that in theory would keep the same results. However, because of all the plugins and stuff that we're running on it, creates all this artifacting and kind of a low pass filtering effect. This is how you get a lot of lo-fi sounds, lo-fi piano type sounds. And yeah, that's basically all I got to talk about for Ignite. You know, so if you liked the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Next thing is probably going to be a sound redesign thing of a game trailer, just for portfolio reasons and stuff. I want to do more sound design projects while I'm looking for work. But yeah, bye-bye.